Hello, and welcome back to another segment of the Tip of the Month. In this session, we'll be working with some samples from diamond drill holes to create a vein model. We'll be working with the block model module, where we have different commands to create, estimate, and compute veins. The objects that we have loaded here are saved layers inside our filer. So to open them, we go to Essentials, click on Insert Layer, and Sections East, because they're on the east side of the mine. Click on 2300, select all of them, and pierce points. We just add them and click OK, but since we already have them loaded, we'll just click on cancel. Before we use the vein model command, we need to get a better look into our samples so we can rotate them a little. And we can see that our vein gets thicker in the center and smaller at the edges. We can go back to plan view. And to create our section, we need to get more information on the dip of our vein. So we'll change our views. Here's a front view, but still we don't have much information on the dip. So we'll look at it from the side. And now we get a good look into the orientation of our vein and the dip, which looks to be at approximately 45 degrees. And based from our y-axis, we can see that north is this way and south is this way. This information will be really important for when we create our section. So we can go back to plan view and zoom out a little. And now we can create our section. We click on cut one section and the name will be longitudinal and we'll be looking south. Our coordinates have to be somewhere in the middle of our vein. So here would be good. We won't need our clips. And our elevation has to be based on the samples. So here we're snapping to one of our samples and this elevation would be good. And for our angle, since the dip was of 45 degrees and we're looking south, our angle will be of minus 45 degrees. We click on OK and type minus 45. And now we're all set for our section. And now we zoom extent and we have our section created. We click on Save Zoom so our view can be saved the next time we look at our section. So now we create a polyline around our samples to see if our section was created correctly. And we close and we go to plan view. Here in plan view we rotate and here we can see that our section is just above our samples. So now we can go back to section and we can erase our polyline. And since we'll create three types of veins, we want to have a good comparison of them side by side. So we'll create some copies of them. And we'll set our copy of our samples here and here. All right, so to begin, we'll start with this one. And we go over to Progeox. We click on the model vein command and we select our samples. So now that they're selected, we can see that it asks us for our block size and our maximum search distance. We'll leave it at 25. Our color code will be for gold, and our modeling method will be inverse distance. The geometry modeling we'll use triangulate first, and we have other configurations like the maximum number of points, which will be 8. And our inverse distance factor will be up 2, which means that it will be an inverse distance to the square. And we click on OK. And now we have our first vein created. We'll look at conceptual so we get a better look. And this will be the vein that was created with the triangulate geometry modeling. So we can go back to our section. And now we'll use the other geometry modeling method, which will be tangent surfaces. We'll use it on these samples. So we click on model vein and select our samples. And we'll leave the same configuration as before. We'll just change the geometry modeling to tangent surfaces. Click on OK. And we have our vein. So basically the grades are approximately the same according to the color scheme. But if turned and seen side by side, you can see the tangent surface is a lot smoother in comparison to the triangulate method, which is a bit more blocky. And finally, for the inside mesh method, we will go back to section again. And for this method, we need to have a mesh loaded inside our samples. So we can go back to Essentials, click on Insert Layer, Section East, 2300, select from 50 to 70, and 3D Ore. This will open up a mesh that we have inside our samples. But to work with this mesh, we'll change to 2D wireframe and to get a better view. If we check each one of these meshes, we can see that they're not joined. So we'll have to select all of them and join them with the union command inside modeling. Now that they're all one mesh, we can continue to use the inside mesh method. And we go back to model vein. And again, it'll ask us for our samples. We select them and select the option for inside mesh. Now we click on the top mesh and our bottom mesh, which will be the same mesh. And now our vein is created inside the mesh that we specified, using only data from the samples that are inside that mesh. We can go back to conceptual to get a better view and take a look at all three of our veins. So as we can see, we got a different result from each method. There is no good or bad modeling, only the one that fits best with your geology and your ore body. This will be all for our vein modeling tip of the month. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down in the comment section below so we can get back to you. Have a great day and see you soon.